So our guest tonight, Lesley Thomas, thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure.
You'll be talking, I hope, about your new book that you've
Yes.
published. Do you have any slides to share or?
No, I'm just going to talk to you.
Fantastic. Well, we might as well kick off then. Let me just stop sharing.
Can I just ask you, when I've finished my talk, and if anyone's got any questions, like I'm presuming that that's the end of my bit and I leave. What's the protocol?
No, you can hang around. You can hang around as long as you like.
How long does the meeting? Well, I won't hang around for a long time. How long does the meeting go for?
About 5 minutes after you finish.
Oh, okay. Well, I will hang around.
It'll be. Because not much is happening, unfortunately, due to lockdown. We don't have a lot to talk about.
All right. No, I just wasn't sure. I wasn't sure whether, what you do. Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, look, my book, Finding Fabulous Over 60, what I've found is really constructive is to actually read a few paragraphs out of chapter 1, just to give you a bit of an idea of where I was at in my life that created a massive change in direction for me. So I'll just do that. Chapter 1, these carrots are tasteless. A man I lived with for 3 years in my early 40s had just taken a mouthful of what I thought was a delicious evening meal. With a really pissed off tone, he announced, "These carrots are tasteless." Another night, he told me the onions in my spaghetti bolognese weren't chopped up small enough. And I remember telling a group of women about that several years ago. And one of them went, oh my God, I was with a guy like that. And he told me my onions weren't chopped up small enough either. And she said that the next time she made spaghetti bolognese, she just cut the onion in half and put it in the pan like that. So I wished I'd thought of that at the time. Anyway, I was totally over the cooking complaints by the time he got to asking, where's the homemade apple sauce with these pork chops, and why aren't the pork chops crumbed? But it was when he turned to me one day and asked me why I hadn't darned his socks that I really blew a gasket. Or perhaps it was when he gave me an electric hedge cutter to save me time, at Christmas time, mind you, to save me time cutting all the hedges with the shears. No, I think it was when he came into the bathroom while I was having a shower and looked me up and down and said, I noticed that you've put on weight on your stomach and I think you better lose it because I really don't want you embarrassing yourself in bathers. So I didn't realise it at the time, but the infernal nitpicking and never-ending put-downs about me or anything and everything I had or had not done were chipping away at my soul and crushing my spirit. Why didn't I leave? Good point. But the problem at the time was I didn't have much self-esteem, and sometimes he was really nice to me, and this would give me hope that things would work out, which is ridiculous when you think about it. Plus, there was plenty of my own stuff I wasn't looking at. I also found that I was attached to him in some unfathomable way, I can't say that word, which I learned many years later was codependency. At the time, though, I just couldn't work out why it was so impossible for me to leave. For the first time in my life, I understood why women stayed with men like this. And that was a real revelation to me. A point came where I did leave, and I talk about that in my book. But once I'd left, I had this incredible moment of, a rare moment of clarity. And I knew I had to look at what it was about me that had attracted him in the first place, a man like that in the first place. I had to take responsibility for that. And I also had to look at my part in our relationship breakdown, as I did not ever, ever want to repeat it. The only way to do that was to address and change whatever I needed to about myself. And in order to do that, I needed to start with the unprocessed traumas from my childhood. I needed to look at my addictions, my character defects, my weight issues and yo-yo dieting, life choices, and obsessive compulsive behaviour as an adult that came with the disease of addiction. This was work I did not want to do, but I knew in my heart that I had to. So in July 1998, aged 44, I started my internal journey with counsellors, psychologists. I read every self-help book I could lay my hands on, went to spiritual and non-spiritual self-help seminars. And I started with my childhood. And I had to look at everything. So I started with my childhood, and that's where I sort of finished just reading that little bit there. I had beautiful parents, very Victorian though. They were lovely people. However, they had a poor, as in we are too poor mentality. And my father was a Navy man and was unbelievably strict. An example of that was every morning we'd wake to TTH, and you're a little kid and you're going, oh, TTH, which meant immediately spring out of bed and toilet, teeth, hands. And then we had to have a shower. And after 3 minutes, we'd have to call out, cold on, because we had to turn all the hot water off and turn the cold water on. And it was like walking around on eggshells. It really was. Everything was regimented. Actually, it reminds me of when I was 16 and had my very first boyfriend, and first phone call. This first time this guy rang me, and my dad handed me the phone and he turned over the 3-minute egg timer at the same time. And I knew that meant, oh, crikey, I've got to be off the phone before that sand runs out. And I wasn't. And my dad was so incensed that he ripped the phone cord out of the wall. So that just gives you a bit of an idea. And it's hard, I suppose it's hard, when I say that to imagine that, this guy was a really nice man, but when it came to running a home and his children, it was just so regimented. Anyway, I also had some really serious childhood traumas, apart from my dad being super strict and, walking around on eggshells. I had a very serious accident, which was, when I was about 7, which resulted in 18 months in and out of hospital, 4 operations, and things done to me in hospital that medical people would be put in prison for today. And, just really horrendous stuff. And I also had a very traumatic experience in a classroom at school. And we also had a murderer running around the neighbourhood in Perth at the time. I noticed Liz was from Perth. She may even remember. Everyone was terrified. We had bars put on the windows. And by the time I was 15, up until the age of 15, I should say, I had nightmares and wet my bed practically every night of the week. I was terrified. So by the time I was 18 and I picked up nicotine and alcohol, oh my God, I loved this stuff. I just loved it. For the first time in my life, I felt okay in my own skin. And I could relax, and I felt like everything was going to be okay, and I felt okay about myself. And what I should say here is I had no idea that I had the disease of addiction. And for those that don't know anything about the disease of addiction, it's we've got a chemical in our brain that is, it gets released in bits, of course, and those bits just drive us insane. Got to have the substance, got to have the substance. It's like this voice in your head the whole time. And I want more of it. I want more of it. You just simply can't get enough. And once you put that substance into your system, then that chemical floods the brain, and this obsessive compulsive behavior kicks in. Addiction is a physical allergy coupled by a mental obsession, and I mean mental obsession. And it's a progressive disease. It just slowly gets worse. And the difference between an alcoholic and a big drinker is a big drinker can go, I can have a drink, I can have 10 drinks, and they can, and then they can stop. An alcoholic can't stop. Once they start, they can't stop. You can force yourself to stop for a while in the early days, but as time goes on, you'll find, no, I can't. And when I tried to stop, I couldn't, and that really frightened me. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. I was brought up with very limiting beliefs of, there's not enough money. don't ever let anyone touch you. When you grow up, your role in life is you'll get married, have children, and that's it. And your husband's a provider. And I never, ever questioned that. I was so controlled as a child, it never occurred to me that I could have an opinion, So of course, had a few jobs and was an air hostess for a while, and got married at 23, had 2 kids. And by the time I was 29, nearly 30, I was on my own again with 2 babies. And I had absolutely wrecked that marriage to a really nice man because of my absolutely crazy behaviour and my alcoholism. I still just thought I was a big drinker because I worked from age 18 to today, full time virtually. I've always thought, well, I can't be an alcoholic because I work, and alcoholics are people that lie on a park bench with a paper bag with a bottle in it. Anyway, so for the next, 11 and a half years, I brought my kids up on my own. It was just the world's hugest struggle for me, especially keep holding down a full-time job and dealing with alcoholism, addiction, and wondering, what the heck has gone wrong in my life? How come my life's like this? When all my friends are millionaires, what happened to me? It was just a nightmare. And I actually lost a job at one point with a really good legal firm because of my drinking. And I lost my car at the same time to pay off some debts. And I ended up riding a push bike around for 3 years, cleaning people's houses and, doing their garden work because it was the only way I could survive to provide for my kids. It was really hard. Of course, then I met my man in my dreams when I was 41. Thinking, my life's going to be great now, and moved to Melbourne with one of my children. The other one had wanted to live with the father, and had this nightmare relationship that I sort of started my book with. But it was a nightmare for both of us because you can imagine the baggage with that sort of a past that I had, that I bought, I contributed to this relationship. I'm one of these people that believes it takes 2. Like this guy used to say to me, if we had a disagreement about something or a heated argument, didn't matter, disagreement of any sort, he'd suddenly stop and go, when's your period due? Oh, God, truly, it used to just drive me insane. It was always my fault. But it always takes 2. Anyway, when I left him, I thought, okay, who I am has attracted this man. I had to become willing to completely surrender. I had to accept life, people, places, things, situations for exactly what they were. I had to become willing to look at myself and make whatever changes I needed. I had to change my attitude from woe is me, why is this happening to me, to an attitude of gratitude for what I do have. Like, I'm so grateful I've got eyesight, and I never used to think about that back then, and I just look around me in awe sometimes, just thinking, oh, aren't I lucky, Anyway, just things like that. And I learned how to change my mind. And that was pretty huge because, like, how you might think, I will never, ever change how I feel about that person, or I'll never, ever change how I feel about that situation. I suddenly realised, you know what? I can actually change my mind. And changing my mind about stuff was a huge revelation, and not blaming people for my situation or for anything. I just no longer blamed anyone for anything. Oh, well, this is, of course, part of the learning process. It didn't instantly happen. Instead of the ego saying, oh, they did that, so I did this. I don't do that anymore. It's not part of my psyche anymore. It's, okay, you're behaving like that, but that doesn't mean I need to, and these are the sort of things that I learned. And I learned how to forgive. And I have this policy of, I just forgive everybody for everything these days. And it just makes me feel blissful. And it's funny, it doesn't seem to matter what people have done or what they've said. I find that I can detach from it and just go, okay, that happened. And be unemotional about it. Something that might have incensed me in years gone by and made me want to, come down on someone from a great height. This was all part of the healing journey. I can just let things go like that now. Mind you, crikey, started when I was 44. I'm 67 now. And I also found that another thing was really amazing was all this time I'm doing psychologists and counsellors and also a 12-step recovery program. I actually, and I was praying, you know, I'd always believed in that there was a higher power in this world, something more powerful than this. So I was happy to believe that. And I called it God. Sometimes I just call it a higher power. And when I was with that chap, I started praying and writing letters. And by the time I was leaving, I was on my knees practically every day. But I brought that into my life a lot more after I left. And I really developed a spiritual side to my life. And I found that was just made me feel beautiful on the inside. It was really interesting to go inside and see how I felt. And I actually did a lot of praying and a lot of begging about my addictions, because when I tried to stop smoking, I nearly went insane. I felt like tearing the skin off my arm. Look, I know it's really hard for anyone that hasn't got the disease of addiction to understand, but it just drives you mental. And I actually received the most incredible miracle to stop smoking in June 2000. So that's 21 years ago. Never desired a cigarette again. And then almost 6 years later, on the 21st of March 2006, I got the most amazing miracle. It was just so profound. And these are things I explain exactly what happened in my book. For my alcohol addiction, I could not, under my own steam, stop drinking. I had this good intention, failure, guilt cycle. Wake up in the morning, there is no way I'm ever going to touch that stuff again. Never. Halfway through the morning, I'm thinking, oh, I could have a drink. By lunchtime, I just couldn't wait to get my hands on it. And all this time I'm working full time. You know, honestly, I look back, I don't know how I got through any of it. But this when I tried to stop, I couldn't, and I got so scared of myself because I didn't know who I was going to become. And if I went out after drinking, I'd just make an absolute dick of myself, excuse the expression. You know, and I talk about some of the things I did in my book. You know, I just cringe now. But anyway, I've stuck them in because it's the truth, you know, and I'm not afraid of the truth now. One of the things in the 12-step recovery program was, and that's in AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, you know, truly it was one of the crucial things I needed to do, having a higher power, going to AA in order to, you know, stop drinking. I was going to tell you a story then, and now I've forgotten what it was. Anyway, the one thing that you learn in a 12-step recovery program is, you know, all about resentments. And, you know, having a resentment is like taking poison and expecting the other person to die. And you've probably heard that. It's quite a famous saying, but that's exactly what it's like. So I learned how to forgive people, you know, big time when I was, you know, doing my 12-step recovery programs. But I also learned how to, you know, I had to change habits and learn new ones, especially exercising. And I have a bit of a joke in my book as an analogy, and I tell this because it's the truth, but also to help people remember. You know how you wake up in the morning and you want to go to the toilet? You just get up and go. It's just automatic. You don't just lie there in bed and just do it in bed, do you? No, of course you don't. You get up and you just go to the toilet. I wanted exercise, which I hated doing, to become a part of my life automatic like that. So I had to work on that for a few years. But that's how it is now. I just do it, which is fantastic. But I also had some most extraordinary life after death experiences with each of my parents, which I go into details with, which left me in absolutely no doubt, irrefutable evidence that there is life after death. And I am so unafraid of death. And I know this sounds terrible. I'm actually quite looking forward to it in some ways. After everything I've been through, I think, oh God, I've had enough, you know. But I've got no fear of death, that's for sure. And I've become very self-aware. And one of the exercises I do for self-awareness is I'll just sit quietly with my hands by my side but not touching my body, and I'll just shut my eyes and I'll take a few breaths, and then I'll ask myself, how do I know my hands are still there? And all of a sudden my attention's gone out of my head and into my hands. And that conscious awareness that I'm sensing inside my hands is my consciousness. That's who I really am. And I mean, that's another subject I could talk about on and on and on, but I won't. But it was just one of the benefits of going on this huge healing journey and developing a relationship on a much deeper level with my higher power. And, you know, I've had immense peace on the inside, you know, that it doesn't seem to matter what's happening out here. And this COVID stuff is, you know, I mean, if you knew what was going on in my life, you'd go, oh my God, you know, but there's just this inner peace. And that's, I completely attribute to the journey I've been on, but mostly having a relationship with something greater than me. It's just exquisite, just incredible. And through all of this, and in my book, I talk about this, and I've got lots of other stories. I've got some funny stories about online dating. I've got some stories that would make your hair stand on end. And there's lots of, you know, life lessons in there. And I've had some fantastic reviews. Henry Blackman from your group blew me away, because I always thought he thought I was really dippy, by writing the most extraordinarily wonderful review. He picked the book up because his wife had bought it, Jan Marie. And, you know, I was thrilled that a man, and actually quite a lot of men, and quite a lot of people in their 30s, 40s and 50s have read it and sent me the most extraordinary letters, or put a post on a review on Amazon, which I've been thrilled about. But there's gifts and blessings and stories and my journey. And, you know, I go into more detail about things like surrender and acceptance and willingness and the mirror. You know, like if you meet someone that you instantly don't dislike, you're actually recognizing something about yourself that you don't like. And, you know, the ego would go, oh, crikey, you know, that's not right. You know, I'm not recognizing something I don't like about myself. But the self-awareness will go, you know, the spirit in me will go, oh, okay, I can learn something. I can learn something about myself. And if I want to change it, I can change it. So that's all. It's just a huge learning curve. It's been the most extraordinary time. And I'm hoping that if anybody does want to buy my book, that what I've learned can help you find your fabulous too, no matter what age you are. So what I'll do is I'll post on your chat. I haven't done it yet. I must do it straight after here. I'm going to reduce, in case anybody wants a signed copy of the paperback, I will, where's the chat? I'm going to reduce the price to $19.95 plus $5 postage. Now, is that, wait a minute, I don't know whether
if you like, you could email that to us, and we can email that to us, and I can.
Matthew, it was on the invitation tonight and is in the last bulletin.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. So you've got, oh, okay. Sorry.
So I'll put it in the next bulletin as well.
Oh, it is there. Sorry, it is there. It's there as well. So if you've got any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I don't mind being asked any questions at all. And I've put my phone number and my email address there, because sometimes people want to ask questions. I've been contacted with people and they prefer to talk to me in private. That's fine, no problems at all. And okay, so I'm going to reduce the price. I'll do that as soon as I've finished here on PayPal. To $19.95 if you want a signed copy of the book. And if you live near me in Blackburn, oh no, you don't, you're over there in what's me doodle, aren't you? So I'll have to post it to you. I was going to say, if you live near me in Blackburn, I could deliver it and give you $5 back. Or if you just want an ebook, you can go onto Amazon. If you don't want to read the book at all, that's fine. You know, it'll only be for people that go, okay, I'd like to know a bit more about this or that or this or that. Or if you just want to be entertained. I'm told it's very funny. So, you know, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you've enjoyed listening to me ramble on about it.
Can you tell me a bit about the publishing process as well? I mean, having written a lot of words on paper, what do you do then?
Well, that's an interesting thing. I have written a lot of words in the past on paper, and I thought, oh my God, what do I do? And it was really funny because when I lost my job in COVID because of March last year, and I had a very difficult time for a few months. And then I thought at the beginning of August, I thought, oh my God, you know, I can feel something's going to change. What am I supposed to be doing? You know, I was asking whatever it is out there. And then a post came up on Facebook from someone I've been friends with for about 15 years saying, writer's workshop, free morning workshop on the 9th of August. Bingo, I could feel it. You know, check in with my body. Yeah, got to do that. So I did that. And when I was listening to her, I knew that I was going to write a book with them. And these people take the worry out of it. They take you from, I think I'd like to write a book or put my notes together, to publishing a book. And not only that, they also helped me get #1 Amazon bestseller for my ebook when it was launched on the 1st of September, because my paperback came out first, but we kept and I got a #1 bestseller in Amazon, which is fantastic. They are incredible. This girl and her husband, she's written 7 books herself. She runs courses on how to write books, and she's got the whole process down pat, and they hold your hand the entire time. As many phone calls as emails as you like. She's got this great team. All you've got to do is write your book. And every chapter I sent to her husband, and he'd give me feedback, and then I'd whack another. I was finished. I wrote my book in 2 months. And they have this, mind you, I did it a lot faster than some people, but they have this 3-day weekend where, and we did it all on Zoom because of COVID, where you can speak out your book if you want. And as weird as that sounds, people actually do it. But I wanted to write my book because I like things in front of me. I like to hold it. So, and that publishing company is Ultimate World Publishing. And, you know, I can give you her contact details if you want me to. Just send me a text or an email if you want to talk to them about it, or go to one of their free morning workshops. It's certainly worth listening to them, because there are so many intricate things. I could never have done it, you know, and you know, yeah, you'll find that out. There's just so many.
That's what I thought. I mean, it's a whole world out there. I wouldn't have any contacts into it. Not that I'm writing anything.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, they were brilliant. And it takes, and also, like, I get all the money for my book. I get all the money on my, if people buy the paperback on my landing page, I get the money. I get all the money for the ebooks from Amazon, and I get, you know, $6 or $7 or something from Amazon if they sell the paperback. Which is much better than, like, some publishing companies will only give you about $1. I think Hay House give you $1.40 per book when it's sold. So I get, you know, which is fantastic. You know, you really need that, you know, to try and sort of, you know, it's not cheap. It's not cheap, but you don't have to worry about anything. They do everything. And you have master classes all the time. And she's got a library of any question you could possibly ask. She's got a video clip that she's done to answer it. It's truly colossal what she's got. It's just what she's done, what she's built up. So, yeah, I can thoroughly recommend them for sure. Any other questions?
I've got a question.
Yeah.
You've answered a lot about the process that you went through when seeking this writer's workshop. First of all, I want to acknowledge you and how brave you are in telling your story. A lot of people in the sort of relationships and been through what you've been through feel a lot of guilt and shame, and they tend to hide away rather than confront it like you have and speak out about it. So I want to congratulate you on that. But what was the trigger? I'm sure there was a trigger prior to seeing this workshop on Facebook. What was the trigger that said, I need to tell my story? I want to write this stuff down.
Well, I can't really recall any, at different times people, all my life, even while I was drinking, people used to say to me, oh my God, I can't believe what's happening to you. You need to write a book. And I've thought, yeah. And I've often thought, one day I'll write a book. And I've often thought, no, I don't want to tell everybody, all about what I've done. Like you say, the shame and guilt and all that sort of stuff. And I'm just trying, I don't know. I suppose it was just it wasn't exactly a monumental trigger. It was part of the healing. See, one of the huge gifts I got was that my ex-husband, the father of my children, made a decision to forgive me for what I did in our marriage, and I did plenty that was just outrageous. And, I could go on to several stories about that. He made a decision to forgive me. And when he'd been living overseas for years, and he married a beautiful French lady, and not a young, 20-year-old French lady, a French lady about his same age, which I really admired him for. And they live in France. And my son has lived in England, London, for the past 10 years. And my son was getting married. Now, every time my ex-husband Richard and his wife Corinne came to Australia, and when my kids were here, we'd all go out as a family, and it was sort of a bit strained at first, especially as I was trying to get to know his wife. But anyway, long story short, my son wanted to get married, and he wanted to get married at their place in the French countryside. And they invited me, my ex-husband and his wife invited me. And we just had the most incredibly funny time. We just had so much fun. I get on so well with his wife. She's just hilarious, and she loves my sense of humour. And we all arrived a week before the wedding, and we'd be at their place, and the local village had given them all the fairy lights to decorate their property down through the woodland to this water area where the marriage was taking place, and put up this huge marquee, and we all helped setting everything up. And every day, everyone, like we had me, my ex-husband, his wife, her 2 kids, my 2 kids, and the white bride's parents, and we would all sit around this huge table for all the meals, just having a ball. And there was so much healing in that. That was 2 years ago this month. And there was so much healing in that and also I made an amends to my husband. I told my husband what I'd done wrong. When you're doing a 12-step recovery program, once you've identified all the people that you've upset, or all the people that have upset you, and you've recognized with your sponsor all the people you need to make an amends to, you start doing that. And that was part of my healing process. One of the people I needed to make an amends to was my ex-husband. And I made an amends to him, and there was no more secrets. And I think that's what freed me. I don't have any secrets with anyone about anything. And that's sort of, this has been a process, so, I never thought I could write a book until I saw that post, and it went through my body. I know that's was this a yes, no question? Sorry. Yeah, there wasn't a defining moment prior to that. And I felt like I could not stop writing when I started writing. And I had thousands of Post-it notes all over the place. And I used to wake up in the middle of the night and write stuff down. I felt like I was just downloading all this stuff. And every now and again, my ego would say, oh, I should say that. And this voice would say, no, keep to the script. So I left the book exactly the way it came to me. And I didn't add or take away anything. Can't hear you. Any other questions?
Not from me. You've jumped into it. I was going to say that it was Henry Blackman and Carey Kornhauser that recommended you to us.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Henry wrote me an email. And as I said, I always thought Henry thought I was a bit dippy, you know, a dippy blonde. And his wife, Jan Marie, had bought my book. And I never thought for a moment he'd look sideways at it. But I got this email out of the blue from him telling me that he'd, you know, picked it up as he walked past and just sort of opened it up anywhere and read a bit and put it down, and then came back and read a bit here. And you know, this went on a bit. And then he suddenly thought, you know what, I've got to start at the beginning and read all of this. So he started at the beginning, and he said he read the whole lot and he loved it. And it motivated him to change. He wrote me this incredible email with all these bullet points on what he loved about it, which just stunned me. And then he wrote this awesome review on my Finding Fabulous Over 60 Facebook page and put a review on Amazon. So, and one thing he said to me was when he looked at it, he thought it was for women over 60, but he was really wrong. It wasn't. It was for anybody of any age. You know, because it's got so much in it. And I was so thrilled that a man said that, you know, especially an accountant.
Oh, he's not that boring.
No, I don't mean that he's boring. I always thought accountants were very studious people that, you know, any accountant I've ever met, I've always thought they thought I was a bit dippy, you know, just the impression I got with the way they looked at me, you know, strangely. Anyway, I was thrilled. I've had lots of, you know, have a look on Amazon if you want to, you know, there's been some lovely reviews, really wonderful reviews. So, yeah, it's, yeah. Any other questions at all?
I'll throw not a question, but I will remind people that in the invitation for tonight's meeting and also in the last week's newsletter and probably this week, I'll put the link to your website with the details.
I'll change that price as soon as I get off the Zoom.
Well, because what I've said is just contact you.
Yeah, well, they can. Yeah, just contact me and we can do it that way. Okay. Like, you know, I can easily just give people a BSB and an account number. In fact, that's probably
and then
you
pay fewer fees and all that sort of stuff too.
Yeah, actually, that would be better. If people want to buy it, just send me a text and I'll just give you my bank details and you can just make a deposit and you just give me the address and I'll send it to you. That's going to be easier than trying to change the price on PayPal. So, yes, that'd be great if we could do it that way. So, thank you. Okay. But if you don't want to buy it, that's no problem either. But as I said, there are a couple of stories in there that'll make your hair stand on end.
Vicky, you had a question.
Leslie,
yes.
I was just wondering if Diane Keaton is going to play you in the movie.
Oh. Isn't she great? I love her. I love
channeling her.
I love her and Jack Nicholson in that. What's it called? Oh, something's got to give. Yes,
it was on last weekend.
Oh, yeah, fabulous movie. Yeah. Fabulous movie. Yeah. I think that I'd be, you know, dreaming above my station to think that anything like that had happened. But, you know, you never know, I suppose. Maybe it'll happen 30 years after my death. Well, my son's a filmmaker. He, in England, he's a filmmaker. Funnily enough, he got permission to fly from London to Perth during COVID last year to make a documentary series on that murder I was telling you about. And it's actually on Stan in Australia and Sundance in America.
Yeah, we've seen it. We've seen it.
After the Night.
Yes.
Yeah, we've watched it.
Yes.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Yeah,
well, my son wrote that, directed it, everything.
Wow. It's fabulous. It's sinister.
Yeah, but that was the guy that was terrifying. He completely changed Sleepy Perth into this fearful place.
Yeah.
That was Cookie, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Cookie.
That Cookie?
Went from leaving their doors unlocked to barring all their windows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way that he could compartmentalize and he could have like a normal family life.
Yeah.
This bizarre killing spree.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you've seen it and you liked it. That's great.
Oh, it was actually really quite chilling, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was incredible. Well, my son
maybe Lesley, what you need to do is put out to your universe for a filmmaking workshop, and something will appear on Facebook. I know you know, maybe that's a higher power, maybe that's cookies on your computer. I'm not sure what's it, but something will turn up.
And
Yeah.
it's
Oh
just
yeah, I've
your
got,
son over.
Yeah,
pardon?
Maybe just getting your son over.
yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, of course, no one can go anywhere at the moment.
No.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, look, you know, at the moment I've got more important things to sort of deal with here. You know, lockdowns caused all sorts of issues, but I just know in my heart, I feel like I've stepped off a cliff, and I just know in my heart that I'm not dropping, you know, down the precipice, that my higher power's got a plan, and I trust that.
Yeah. And chances are you'll get to see him in London before you get to see the rest of Australia.
Well, look, wouldn't that, of course, you know, I certainly won't be able to go to Perth. I think I'll be able to go to London before I can go to Perth,
Mhm.
because all my
Yeah.
family and friends live in Perth, where I grew up. And, you know, they're quite happy to be isolated at the moment. But I think once they see all of us, you know, well, you know, people flying to, you know, wherever, they'll probably want to come out of lockdown too. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, there's a few friends of mine in France and England who are basically leading an ordinary life now, except that all of them know people who've died, and most of them have had COVID.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So we've
Yeah.
been very isolated, but it's also made us very fearful, I think.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. And I try not to allow myself to play into that fear too much. I just send good vibes and love through my body. I'm fully vaccinated while I'm at it. I just believe in doing everything possible to, you know, relying on medicine as well as my spiritual beliefs, my higher power belief, to heal me, cleanse me, you know. And out of all my friends, I'm the only one that's completely fit and healthy, you know, which is bizarre, but I just keep sending all this love through my body, and, you know, I just believe it. And I also believe that what you believe counts enormously. If I believe I'm fit and healthy, then I am, you know. So and if I believe
positive brain chemicals.
Yeah.
We've been going through the same. Leah, I hope you don't mind me telling your story, but Leah's been through breast cancer and
Oh wow.
found that it was inoperable, and she was put on medication, but all the time we believed that we would get through, and we're getting through. And
Yeah.
she's maintaining a positive view that this is something that's happening to us, not who she is, and is doing remarkably well, and doctors are amazed. So
yeah.
big believer in what you tell yourself is what happens.
Yeah. Think about, you bring about.
Yep.
Absolutely. It reminds me of Anita Morjani. She had, have you ever heard of her? She had final state. You have heard of her. Yeah. She's amazing. And yeah, it's the belief, the positive, and laughing's great. It does beautiful things for your body. So good on you for doing that. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome.
If no one else has any more questions, we'd all like to thank you very, very much for your talk tonight. It was fabulous.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you.
We greatly appreciate it, and I'm certain you will definitely get round of applause.
Oh, thank you.
You'll certainly get some sales out of tonight.
Oh, look, you know, I only buy the book if you feel inspired to. You know, I really believe in that. You know, I think that's important. And if you feel like, you know, you might get something out of it, and I'm sure you will. There's a lot in it. A lot of life stuff, you know, and I've had people comment on it, you know, really, you know, it's really touched me what people have said about it. So for those of you that are interested, that's great. That's wonderful.